Hi guys, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about the biggest red flags that you should never ignore when it comes to a relationship, whether it be a marriage or even just a boyfriend or girlfriend situation. These are red flags that I have experienced, things that I have been through that I'm going to share with you, and red flags that you definitely should not ignore. So let's get into today's video. Now, the first red flag and the biggest indicator is your intuition. Do not ever ignore your intuition, or what some people call it is their gut feeling. And I do know that even in my case, you come across a time where you think, oh my God, maybe I'm overreacting, maybe I'm being crazy, maybe I should just push it on the side. So then you end up pushing an issue on the side or putting it on the back burner and trying to ignore something because you're telling yourself in your mind, maybe you're overreacting, maybe you're being crazy, but then weeks or months or years go by and exactly what you were feeling ends up coming out. The truth ends up being revealed, and then you're thinking to yourself, holy cow, I could have saved myself all of this time if I had just trusted myself, if I had just trusted that feeling. Because honestly, 99.9% of the time, your intuition is always correct. That gut feeling that you have is always right. So don't ever ignore it, because that feeling is coming up because it's trying to warn you, it's trying to tell you something. So I always believe that you should trust your intuition. Don't ever ignore that feeling. Also, don't make excuses or push it on the back burner, because eventually the truth does come out and you will find out that what you were feeling was 100% correct. Now, the next big red flag is walking on eggshells. And I have dealt with this for many years of my life in the relationship that I was in, where I didn't know who I was going to get that day. Was I going to get this loving, patient partner who was making our relationship work, or was I going to get this impatient, angry, always wanting to argue partner who just was not taking the steps in moving forward in our relationship? So it was kind of like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde situation where you just didn't know who you were going to get that day. And now that I look back on it, it was such an unfair situation, and it was not smart on my end to have to think that I had to watch what I said. I had to watch the person that I was. I couldn't even be who I really was because I didn't want to get into an argument. I was trying to avoid conflict, trying to avoid offending this person or getting into an argument with this person. So I was the one tiptoeing around somebody else's moods or how they wanted to be that day. And how unfair is that? And it's such a huge red flag, because why would you want to be in a relationship where you wake up every day and it's not the same person? It's so inconsistent of the person that they are or the person that they say they want to be. And to have to carry yourself or even not be able to be yourself in order to make a relationship work out is definitely not the way to go. So when it comes to walking on eggshells, you should never be with an inconsistent partner or somebody who is not who they claim that they want to be or who they say that they are, because then you're dealing with a situation where you have to work your entire day in order to keep peace in the relationship. You are working your entire day and carrying yourself in a certain way in order to make this relationship work out. And that means that you cannot even be who you really are. You're over there watching what you have to say. You cannot even go, or you don't even feel safe enough to go to this person and talk to this person about anything and everything, because you're scared that it's going to cause an argument or they're going to lash out on you. So when it comes to walking on eggshells, it's definitely such a huge red flag, because it makes the partnership very unfair, where one person has to watch what they do, what they say, how they carry themselves in order to make the other person happy. You're accommodating for somebody else. The next big red flag is cheating. And this could be emotional cheating, physically cheating, anything that you define as cheating in your book. But from experience, even from being the outside person watching other people's relationships, I'm going to be 100% real with you and honest with you, because I do think that experience is the best teacher. And people do say that, people can change, and I'm not putting that down. I'm not disregarding that, but I'm speaking to you from my experience and from what I've seen throughout years of my life. And when it comes to cheating, it's very hard for that person or whoever is cheating to pull back on that. Because to me, once you have delved into that part of life, once you have dipped your toes into knowing what's on that other side, it takes so much for that person to have to pull out of that. So when it comes down to cheating, my thing and why I say it's such a big red flag is because in order for you to expect your partner to stop cheating, it really does take a lot of work. Don't think that because they're going to sit there and tell you, no, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make it work. No, I'm going to change. I'm going to change. Trust me, I have heard I am going to change for years. And I'm not talking 2 or 3 years. I'm talking 2-digit numbers in years. So even from watching other people's relationships, people who, try to pull back on cheating or try to pull back on being somebody who ventures outside of their relationship, most of the time, that person is going to keep doing what they're doing, regardless of what they have to lose. So when it comes to cheating, I think that it is a big red flag. Once you catch your partner cheating once or even twice, that is such a big red flag to you, because you need to tell yourself, honestly, and I'm going to be 100% real with you, you need to sit there and tell yourself, well, is this something that I'm going to accept the rest of my life or for a big portion of my life? And if not, am I ready to move on? So when it comes to cheating, trust me, this is a huge red flag, because in order for that person to pull back or stop doing what they're doing, it takes a lot. Not a lot from you, not a lot from them putting into the relationship. It takes a lot for them to want to give that part of their lives up. Another red flag is empty promises. And I have had my fair share of empty promises when it comes to relationships. And what I have to say about empty promises is this is a red flag, because if that person is saying that they're going to do something and they still have not done it, and weeks and months and years have gone by and you haven't seen that promise, then the truth is that it isn't coming, and that you were waiting around all of this time for this person to make this promise to you, but you're never going to get it. So when it comes to empty promises, it is a red flag, because you're really just wasting your time waiting around for something to happen that isn't going to happen. You're gambling with your time, you're gambling with your life, hoping and wishing for them to meet that expectation, to meet that promise that they gave you, and then come to find out that that promise is never going to be met. The last red flag is when you have to constantly nag the person that you're with to show you or give you the love that you deserve. And when it comes down to this, it is a huge red flag, because if you're with somebody who really values you and loves you as a person, you shouldn't ever have to constantly remind them about your wants and needs, especially if you're the kind of person where you're meeting their wants and needs. You should never have to sit back and say, well, this is what I need out of this relationship. Yes, I do think that there are times where communication comes into a relationship where you need to express how you feel. But when it becomes a constant reminder or a constant need to have to tell somebody because they're not doing it, they're not giving you exactly what you need out of the relationship, then it is a huge red flag. Because how I look at it now, looking back on certain situations in my life, I look at it like, I don't ever want to be with somebody where I have to tell them how to love me. How exhausting is that for me? And really what I should have done is I should have left the relationship, because it wasn't giving me what I needed, and I kept wanting this person to be that person to give it to me, but in all reality, they weren't going to be that person. I kept reminding them, I kept having to tell them. So it's a huge red flag when you need to tell somebody how to love you, when you need to tell somebody your basic wants and needs out of a relationship, even especially when you are so deserving of a great loving relationship. So having to nag somebody or remind somebody how to treat you or love you is definitely a red flag, because if they aren't doing it now, then the chances of them doing it in the long run are slim to none, and you are really just wasting time away waiting around for something to happen with this specific person that's probably not gonna happen. So these are some of the red flags that I have experienced. Also, I like to also give experience when it comes to me being the outside person and seeing other people's relationships. So I hope that you guys were able to see the messages behind the red flags that I mentioned in my video. But before you guys leave today, please do not forget to like, subscribe, also hit that notification button never to miss the latest update on my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!